Welcome back to another episode of The Ali Show, a weekly podcast from Blackstad where we dive deep into the real challenges faced by credit and AR professionals in the B2B world and bring you actionable insights straight from expert in finance and credit management. I'm Ali Kidwai, Senior Manager of Product and Implementation here at Blackstad. As part of this role, I lead our product strategy and growth as well as work closely with our customers and partners. This is a special two-part series. In part two, we dive deeper into the strategies to help B2B credit managers maximize debt recovery. If you missed part one, it will be linked below in the show notes. If you already listened to part one, thanks for being here. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more industry insights. Thank you.
So in summary, Jason, I guess just to help our customers and the audience, what they can do is make sure that they have a software that can verify signatures, they collect the right documents up front, they make sure that the right person is signing the right the right legal terms and conditions and personal guarantees, and then also just making sure that all of these things are verified before they give them credit. So that can avoid just avoid this bad debt accumulation. Because as you said, right, you don't nobody wants to hire your services, and then you're in a position where you can't even help them. It really puts everybody in a bad spot.
Accurate record keeping, making sure that the different departments within companies are communicating and talking, and you have sales and you have credit and you have us, and we want to make sure we don't want to impede the sales ability to do their job and sell product, and we want to work with them and just accurate record keeping where we can really see the detail. And I'll give you just a real quick story that comes to mind with what we're talking about here. We had a client who sent us an account. We had a credit app that was in a personal guarantee that was signed by a husband and a wife, and which is a common thing.
Yeah.
And the husband and wife get divorced, and the business the company went out of business, and the husband filed bankruptcy. And when they got divorced, the wife never withdrew her personal guarantee. So when we were looking for avenues for recovery, we still have the wife on the PG. So we pursued the wife, and she attempted to claim that she had withdrew. We had assisted this client with their credit application, and we had language in there saying that if a signer of the personal guarantee is going to withdraw their PG, that it has to be done in writing, sent via certified mail to our client, and which would provide some kind of paper trail of this, right? So she says, well, I did withdraw my personal guarantee. Okay, well then you must have sent it by certified mail. So she says, well, yes, I did. Okay, well, can you show us the certificate of receipt then? The green piece of paper that you get. And she provides, she produces a certificate that says it was delivered to our client. And our client had very good records. They kept track of this. We were able to inspect in detail this certificate, and what we end up determining is, in very small writing at the bottom of the certificate, is a date that the government puts on there saying that this certificate is used after this time. Well, the withdrawal that she claims she sent was way before that. So she got a certificate, doctored it, scribbled on it, a signature as though it was delivered to our client, and we were able to prove to the court in an evidentiary hearing that this was a forgery, and that just because of that little date on it, and if our client provided us that and it was cut off, it wasn't legible, we couldn't read it, wasn't legible, we wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
So it's those kind of things, detail, accurate record keeping, and attention to detail.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Mark had a case a while back that brings to mind what Jason's talking about, where a debtor said that they made a bunch of payments to our client, like tens of thousands of dollars over a considerable amount of time. And so we said, okay, prove it. They sent us checks, and it says to our client for this amount of money every single month. And we're like, we didn't get these checks. You know, talk to the client. Did you get these checks? Where could these checks be? You know, having one missing, I can understand. Having 10 missing doesn't make sense. So Mark goes, I'm pretty confident that this didn't happen, but I'm not sure how we have this. You know, I have the records in front of me. And by the way, the debtor was represented by counsel, who counsel provided us all these records. So Mark scheduled a deposition. Simultaneously, he subpoenaed the bank for records of these checks. Well, come to find out, it was Countrywide Financial. It was their mortgage payments. They erased it off of there and put our client's name in there and said, we paid you. So debtor doesn't have any idea of it. He's sitting there with his attorney, and Mark says, I'd like to start my, deposition here, asking a bunch of questions, and then starts laying it out there. And the attorney's like, we need a break. Ultimately, that got settled, but
When you go in the hallway and work something out.
Yeah, the debtor's attorney was none too happy and very embarrassed. Obviously, he was not in on it. He was pretty pissed.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I gotta talk to Mark about that. All right. Finally, we come to trends and challenges. I guess a couple of questions there to help our audience and customers. What do you see are common trends in the space right now from a debt recovery perspective? What common problems do you see customers facing right now, both from a legal as well as an investigation standpoint? And then how do you think the government and the economic landscape is sort of slowing down or helping? I mean, I know it's slowing down because we talked about it with you and Mark before, but if you could talk about that as well, like how the government is sort of impacting your work and what you're doing to combat that as well.
Yeah, so from a legal standpoint, as I started to mention earlier, the collection industry is changing. Things that we were able to do in the past, we're not able to do now. And Robert can touch on how that impacts his side of it. But from a legal standpoint, right now, some trends we're seeing are, as we touch on signatures, signature authentication on digital personal guarantees. We're also seeing a lot more contested litigation.
Yeah. We're talking about that in where were we? We were somewhere.
Nashville.
Nashville. We were talking about that in Nashville, about how the government, or with Mark, how he was saying that it's like over the recent years, the government is not very receptive to.
Well, that's another thing. But in terms of when we're going legal, we're seeing a lot more. We're seeing the defendants or the debtors are contesting it. They're lawyering up. They're getting lawyers. They're challenging things. And our clients have to be prepared to, when we get to that point, we need the assistance of our clients in order to make that account, to make that lawsuit progress through the legal process, right? So we need, it could come down to discovery, and that can be a timely thing. And that's why we really try to help them and be smart about when we're going legal on things and when we're not. And I mean, we go legal on a lot of things. And we're the lawyers, we're here to do the work, and we do the work. But we also aren't we don't have all the personal knowledge of it.
Yeah.
So we need the cooperation of our clients when we get to that point. And sometimes that can be difficult. They can be deposed, and a representative of the company will have to appear for a deposition. which we coach them through, we walk them through, we represent them through all of that. But again, it's something that we're seeing more of now. We're seeing more counterclaims. And sometimes they're bogus counterclaims, but it does require responses.
Yeah.
And so we work with our clients to handle those.
And takes more of your time, I assume, like all of this.
But that's our job.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do. But it's just things that we're starting to see more of, which we didn't see before. And that's because there are things like signature authentication that are giving rise to new issues. It's giving rise to an argument that somebody can now make and potentially go to court and contest a lawsuit on. So there's things like that are coming into play that we're seeing. The government is making collections difficult, and we have to be fluid, and we have to adapt accordingly. Now, in the commercial space, it's less impacted. However, as of recently, we are seeing states that are making commercial collections a little more difficult. California recently passed some law that made a commercial debt subject to the Rosenthal Act. The Rosenthal Act is essentially the state law version of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the FDCPA. Prior to that, it was only consumer debt that was subject to that. And that provides a high level of regulation. And you have to follow the rules of the law and collect in accordance with that. And there's a high level of compliance. So now in California, you're going to have to follow a lot of those same procedures. And that could make businesses, we've talked to some of our clients about that, and they need to consider their lending practices in those states, and they need to decide if they, one, are going to continue doing business in that state. And most of our large clients that we have in common, I mean, California's a big state.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to see one of these big clients pull out of California in general, but they might put more restrictions on the credit that they're extending in those states, because it's going to become much more difficult to recover
riskier credit
debt in those areas.
We have one of our mutual clients, they were like, it was funny that they said it's the only international country that we do business in is California.
That's, I mean, yeah. So those kind of things are going to impact the economy. So, politics have a big play into this.
Yeah. And I assume that you guys, because obviously you don't do this just for one customer, right? I mean, we're in the same sort of position. Like we're able to advise our clients on technology and like what to use, just because it's more often than not like one problem that one customer faces is something that we can advise to another customer on, maybe in the same industry, maybe in another one. And we grow this knowledge by being able to solve a lot of these problems, and over time, like being exposed to a lot of this. I'm sure you have the same thing on your side, right? Like, you're able to advise clients to help to make their process better and what they should do, like something like this.
Absolutely. So we are, we service our clients on a national level. So our law firm is licensed in a handful of states directly, but we also have local counsel that covers the rest of the country that operate with us, and there are boots on the ground there. And we have them analyzing some of these new laws and regulations, and then we're going to be going back to our clients to help strategize and come up with new practices that they can choose to utilize or not. But again, these are business decisions that are based on some laws. So there is a component of legal analysis that comes into it, but then it comes down to a risk assessment for the business.
And the other thing we were talking about yesterday was, most of our clients that we work with, I mean, they just want to sell as much as they can, right? And they want to, what we're talking about is, make it easy to do business with them. But I mean, there's a cost to that, right? Like there's, the easier you make it, the harder it is, or the riskier it gets. But you also don't want to make it like, not easy at all. Then nobody wants to do business with you. So it's it's a very, you have to keep assessing that. I mean, we have to, obviously not on the legal side, but we have to work with customers to advise them on that on the risk side, right? Like, if the more risk controls you put in place, the harder it is to do business with you. I mean, the more documents you collect, the more you put the customer through, right? I mean, obviously, no customer likes providing all that information.
Right.
I'm sure you don't, I don't, nobody does. I mean,
there's a balance to it, and we understand that. So, we could go to a client and say, hey, if you want to be 100% protected, you got to do this, this, this. The reality, though, and from a business standpoint, as you're saying, they don't want to make it too difficult where their potential customer is going to say, hey, this is too complicated. I'm going to go down the street to a competitor and do business with them because it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
So that is not our goal. The goal is to inform the clients, make sure they're knowledgeable and aware, and find a balance that they're comfortable with. And then whatever it is they decide, we come in and we deal with it, and we do the best we can to clean it up for them. So, I mean, we're janitors at the end of the day.
That's for sure. Yeah, I was going to say on the collection side, I mean, collections has changed over the 30 years that I've been doing it. Just even from the prevalence of, cell phones, emails, things like that. I was doing business-to-business collections, a long time ago before, there really was cell phones. And if there was, they were the big bricks that, you only had a certain amount of minutes, so you certainly couldn't call those either, and you had the receptionist or secretary at the business office. That's changed obviously considerably. Recent changes, I would say, clients are very focused on brand preservation, and with that has really asked us to make an effort to be a little bit softer in our approach. Not necessarily customer service, because it is third-party collections, but from what we used to do of yesteryear to today is night and day difference.
Yeah.
So we got to be firm and fair and make sure that we do what we need to gain the debtor's attention still. The investigation-wise, years ago, I used to be able to call another creditor and say, so-and-so owes you money, let's exchange some information, they owe us money as well. Now, people are very, very closed about that. They don't want to share anything. Everybody's worried about the privacy and stuff like that, and maybe rightfully so, but that's a lot of stuff that's come up. Here in Arizona, garnishment-wise, it used to be bank garnishments had a $300 exemption, now it's a $5,000 exemption.
Oof.
The homestead exemption went up to $400,000. So the first $400,000 of equity on a piece of property they sell is exempt. Those are some real significant changes. That's governmental stuff. So that was with a prop that was passed out here in Arizona, Prop 209. Really affects a lot of consumer-related stuff, but obviously does have some crossover into commercial. So those are some problematic things.
Interesting. One of the things too is, we were talking about it earlier, is that you're seeing more placements now, right? Like you're seeing business is good, I guess.
Yeah, it goes to the state of the economy. Everybody wants to know what we think and where, we see things going. And, we all go to a lot of these industry conferences and events, and they have experts speaking on this. Every time you hear one expert say they think this, you find another expert who's saying something else. So we really can't say. But what we can do is identify some trends, which we've talked about. And, one of the biggest trends that we see in our office is the amount of collections, the number of placements that we're getting is going up. The aggregate value of placements is going up. So, it's when collections, when the economy is slowing and there's less money There's more to collect. What's, I think, been interesting right now is despite record number of collections, at least in our office, we are still recovering record numbers.
Maybe just a very good lawyer, Mr. Jason.
Well, it's a good team, and that goes to our model and the fact that we're a law firm, and it allows us to enforce, to give meaning to the things we say that we're going to do. We're not making empty threats. We have the means and the expertise to do it, and until there's no longer money out there to pay to make these recoveries and to pay off debt, then I don't know how you really judge where things are going.
Yeah.
We're getting lots of placements, but we're still collecting record numbers. We've been setting records each month.
Knock on wood.
I was going to say that there's a client that I know that is seeing some different reasons for delinquency regarding equipment or trucks that were being purchased. So today we're hearing more of the reason that they are turning in the vehicle or the equipment, or reason for default is repairs. Repairs are more expensive these days, and the cost of a new vehicle is so much that they can't afford to buy a new vehicle. Yeah. So they're just saying, come get it. So that's a new trend that we're hearing about, that repairs is the main obstacle to them paying, because if they don't have their truck, then they can't do the work. If they can't do the work, then they can't pay the truck. And you talk about significant repairs, and they don't have the money.
Another industry too is the pool and landscape.
Yeah.
That's a difficult industry because you're dealing with individuals who or contractors that are building pools for families at homes, and they're getting paid by their customers, and if they can't afford to pay, then the contractor on that job.
What are you going to do? Take the pool?
Exactly, and that's why that's a very in general, that is a very difficult industry. But I think during this point in time, I think it's becoming more difficult.
Yeah, we have a very large customer in the pool industry. I know how that goes. Well, that was it. I want to thank both of you. Really appreciate it. I learned a lot about your job, Robert, which I actually didn't know, and obviously a lot about the business. And I'm sure our audience would appreciate it too. I guess for everybody to know, we have an integration together, where we work together to ensure that we pass data, and there's timely placements as well as the right documentation passed to you, which is some of the stuff that we talked about here. And it helps our clients get their money back faster and make sure that everything is tight, and it allows you to do your job so that you can maximize debt recovery for our clients.
Absolutely.
But I want to thank both of you, and thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Tune in every Friday for a new episode, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for having us.
See you next time.